Hello everyone, it's Ben with you guys again today. I want to talk about some of the most shockful things about Nigeria. And that will be as we're coming from the outside, entering into Nigeria as foreigners, as Westerners. What are some of those shockful things that we notice immediately strike us as shockful? Things we're not used to, things that catch us off guard. So what are some of those things? And that's just what I want to talk about today. Of course, these are my own observations. I'm sure there's many different ones. I'm sure some people don't find these things as shockful. But personally, I feel that these are some of the shockful things that I noticed as I think back to the first time I came into Nigeria, and since my time from that moment onwards till the present. So yeah, let's get started. Leave a comment down below if you have some stuff that is shockful to you. I would say number one that's most shockful to me, I remember when I first came to Nigeria and came out of the airport, went into the vehicle, the person that was picking me up, and I needed to exchange some cash to the local currency. And we drove from the airport to some of these money exchangers along the side of the road, and we exchanged some money. But I remember just the thick stacks of money that they gave to me, and just saying, wow, look at all this money. I felt like it was something odd. I shouldn't have this amount of money, big stacks. We only see these in movies or TV shows or whatever. But I remember going back to my hotel that I was staying at the night and just looking through all the money and in disbelief of how much money I have. And of course, if you're from the West, you know that most of the things we use are credit cards. Even if people are carrying cash, it's just a few bills here and there, but not thick stacks of money with two elastic bands around it holding the money together. You'll have like 3 or 4 of them, and even just to fit those in your pockets, you have to come up with creative ways of carrying money around. So that was definitely a shockful thing, something that I never really thought of before I came to Nigeria, but I was just surprised that, wow, look how much money I have, and then if I go and buy something like a bigger expense, I'll need this many stacks of money to buy it. Number 2 is just the environment of Nigeria. The country that I'm coming from, everything is so neat, pristine. You'll be driving along the roads, people will be following the rules, there'll be stop signs, traffic lights, different indicators, and then throughout the town there'll be garbage bins and places that you can throw away your garbage. But I remember coming to Nigeria and we're driving out of the capital city and just noticing the craziness of everything. People moving this way, people moving that way, people coming against us in traffic. To us, coming from the outside, we see it as craziness, total disorganization, total disorder. Why are people moving this way when they should be moving that way? Why are people going wherever they please? And then another one is just throwing away of garbage. We'll see the streets lined with garbage. All the gutters will have garbage in it. It's something hard for us to imagine. I know if I'm back in my country and I have garbage and I'm just walking along the road, I'll actually keep my garbage in my pocket until I arrive to a trash bin and then throw the trash out. But I remember the first few days in Nigeria, I saw many people just taking huge amounts of garbage and throwing it out the window and not even thinking twice about it. So that is definitely shocking, something to get used to. I don't think necessarily we need to get used to it. I think there's certain aspects that do need to change around that. We know that God calls us to take care of our environment, so that's definitely something we should work on. But just the disorganization and all of that, it takes getting used to. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely shockful as we come from something so orderly where people follow all the rules to something where it's people go about their daily life and more or less not caring about the official rules in place. So that's number two. Obviously there's cleaner parts and not so clean parts in Nigeria, but those are just the general impressions I got. Number three is about there not being much wildlife. And if you asked me before I ever came to Africa, ever came to Nigeria, what do you think the type of animals I would see as I'm coming? I would name elephant and all those typical tropical African animals. And as I came to Nigeria, I had the picture, I see different animals here and there as we're driving along the road, seeing monkeys and all sorts of animals. But I was surprised when I got here that after a few months, I couldn't see anything other than lizards and squirrels and doves and all of those common animals. And of course you see goats and all those domesticated animals, but not those animals we really picture of when we think of Africa, when we think of Nigeria. So that was quite shockful. I thought I would be seeing antelope, buffalo, elephants, lions, hyenas, different types of animals. And from what I heard, in Nigeria in the past, there were those animals, but as people started expanding into different areas, creating farms, the animals were often killed or driven away. And as I came to know, people really like bushmeat here, so people will be hunting after the animals to be eating them and so on and so forth. But it's definitely shockful. We think we're going to see a wide range of animals, and then when we come, we don't see that many. So something to keep in mind. Number four is the reality of malaria here. Just how common malaria is, just how rampant it is among the people. If you ask us from the West about malaria, we see it as like the worst possible disease ever. It's almost like a death sentence if you get it. And we have this perception of malaria like it's a super dangerous illness. And definitely I don't want to make it seem like it's not a dangerous illness. I know many people die from it each year, especially those who are children, those who are elderly. It can affect them in very serious ways. But I remember the first time I got malaria, and I told people back in my country, my family and my friends, and they were so concerned about my health. Always getting updates on my health, seeing how I was doing. But as the years of me in Nigeria kept growing, and the amount of times that I get malaria kept growing, it seemed more and more like a regular thing. And it's still not good for you. I know it's definitely taken a toll on my health in different aspects, but it's not what we make it out to seem when you ask people in the West about malaria. Almost every Nigerian I know has got malaria before, and it is something that's just a part of life. We hope that a cure comes. And I just recently heard that there is a vaccination that is being implemented in many African countries, so we hope that this vaccination helps against effectively treating or preventing malaria. But in terms of my perception of malaria before and coming to Nigeria and how my perception changed is definitely a shockful thing. And I would say number five, and this might be really telling of us in the West, but it's just how cheap things are when you do the exchange rates and you exchange from a more favorable currency to the Naira, and certain things we see it as very cheap. And in reality it is very cheap for us coming, and we're using the exchange rate and benefiting from the exchange rate. But many times it's not cheap for those who are actually working here and the salaries that they make. But certain things like food, and even bags of rice, bags of maize, I remember coming and just being surprised how cheap the food is, how much you can get tomatoes for, how much you can get those kind of fresh produce for very cheaply. whereas in the West we won't be able to get those types of food at that kind of cost. So yeah, the amounts that items cost, especially food items, different materials, clothing was one big surprising thing for me, the amounts that it costs to buy clothing, to buy shoes. Now most of the time they're used clothes and used shoes. If you're trying to buy the top end brands that are coming to Nigeria, imported, the price will be consistent with those in the West. But if you're definitely buying used things, the price is quite cheap. And it is a really surprising thing as we come from the West, come into Nigeria, and then get the local currency and start shopping. We're surprised. We're always trying to compare back to the dollar amount or whatever amount we use into the Naira, and it just doesn't work. We have to switch our mindsets and get it into the Naira and then judge everything by cost with the Naira, not by cost with the dollar, if that makes sense to you guys. So those are some of the most shockful things that I noticed. There are definitely more. One extra one is just the common, or the perception of death is a lot more common here, a lot more open. People, how they die, death is more in your face here, and that might not be the best way to explain it, but in the West we kind of see death as a hidden thing. We're not so much exposed to death. Yes, we go to burials and funerals here and there, but it's not so much of a common occurrence in our lives. But here in Nigeria, death is more at the forefront of people's lives. It is common, it is within daily life, and it is more in front of your face, something that is not unnoticed behind the curtain. So that's definitely another one of those surprising things. But I hope you liked the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you do, subscribe and comment so I can continue these type of videos. It's even benefiting me as I think about my experience here in Nigeria and just the things that I've went through, the things that I learned, and as I reflect on the various aspects of my life here, I'm able to take joy in my time here in Nigeria. So yeah, comment down below if you see anything surprising about Nigeria as you come, or if you're Nigerian, just those things that you know are surprising about your country. Thank you very much. God bless you.